I can't shake the feeling that something's wrong as I watch Lisa drive down the highway. The soft hum of her BMW's engine is the only sound that fills the air, yet it feels so loud in this moment. I glance at her, her face lit by the streetlights, smiling like everything is fine. But I know better. She's always been good at hiding things, at pretending. But there's something off today. I can't pinpoint it, but the way her eyes flicker nervously when she looks at her phone tells me she's not entirely here. Maybe it's the exhaustion from the conference in Atlanta. Maybe it's something more. The house is eerily quiet when we pull in. The lights are dim, and the emptiness feels suffocating. Lisa's already reaching for her phone before the engine even cuts off, her fingers hovering over the screen, likely waiting for a call or a message. It's the first sign of something being wrong. I know her habits by now. There's always someone, always something. But tonight, there's nothing. No messages, no calls. Nothing but the buzzing silence in the air. It's as if the house itself is waiting for something, for someone to break the stillness. But I don't break the silence. I just watch her. Something's going on. I think to myself as I see the way her shoulders tense, the way she keeps checking her phone, waiting, hoping for something that never comes. There's frustration written on her face now, a subtle crack in her usual composure. For a moment, I wonder if she's even aware of it. Or maybe, just maybe, she's trying to distract herself from what she already knows is coming. I watch her pace around the living room, looking for something, anything, to do. She's pulling at her hair, her fingers curling around the ends as she stares blankly at the wall. The house is still quiet. Too quiet. There's a heaviness here, an absence, and I can feel it like a weight in my chest. I sit back, feeling the familiar pang of helplessness creep in. I've tried to talk to her about things, try to get her to open up, but it's always the same. She shuts down, hides behind that smile, that perfect facade she's so good at. She's always pretending, always putting on a show. But tonight, the show is over, and I'm not sure what's next. I watch her pick up her phone one more time, her thumb hovering over the screen, and then she puts it down again. There's a moment of stillness, a pause. And then, as if the weight of the situation finally hits her, she turns towards me. Her eyes meet mine, and for a brief second, I see something, vulnerability, maybe. A crack in the armor she's been wearing for years. But it's gone in an instant. She turns away quickly, her eyes darting back to the phone in her hand, the device now glowing in the dim light of the room. I know she's hoping for a call, but deep down, I think she knows it's too late for that. I don't say anything. There's nothing left to say. The silence between us is heavy, but it's not uncomfortable. It's just inevitable. We're both avoiding the elephant in the room, the truth that hangs in the air like an unspoken promise. I don't want to confront it yet. I don't want to face what's coming, but I know I can't keep ignoring it. So, I wait. For her. For the moment when everything falls apart. Dinner was supposed to be a celebration. Our 20th anniversary. I'd been planning it for months, pulling strings with Steve to set everything up perfectly. A quiet, intimate dinner at a place that held some of our fondest memories, a gift I'd poured my heart into, a symbol of everything we'd been through together. Lisa had no idea what was coming. I thought I was doing something special for her, something that would make her feel loved, appreciated. But that night, I realized I had been living in a delusion. I can't even remember if I was smiling when we arrived at the restaurant. I was too caught up in the moment, the anticipation of her reaction. I had hoped she'd be surprised. I wanted her to see how much I cared, how much I had thought about this anniversary. She stepped out of the car with her usual grace, her hair falling in waves down her back, her heels clicking confidently against the pavement. But I could sense a distance in her, something I hadn't seen before. It wasn't the typical exhaustion from work or the stress of family life. It was something else, and I couldn't shake it. She walked into the restaurant, her eyes scanning the space. Her face lit up when she saw the table I had arranged. There was a moment there, a flicker of warmth in her eyes. But it wasn't enough. She didn't seem genuinely excited, didn't seem like she was in the moment. Instead, there was a coldness, a hesitation. As we settled in, I could feel the tension building. She kept checking her phone, glancing around as if looking for someone or something. I brushed it off, figuring she was just distracted. Maybe it was the long day she'd had at the conference. But as we spoke, I could see her energy shift. She wasn't fully present. And that's when it hit me. When her phone buzzed, I watched her hands tighten around it, her fingers gripping the device in a way that seemed almost frantic. My stomach sank. This wasn't how the night was supposed to go. I had wanted to bring us closer, to remind her of the connection we had built over 2 decades, but all she could focus on was the screen in her hand. That's when I heard the words. She hadn't meant for me to hear it, I'm sure. But there it was, clear as day, her voice drifting over the noise of the restaurant. She was speaking to Mark. I don't know how long I sat there, listening to her laugh, listening to her talk about him as if she were talking about a friend. But every word felt like a punch to the gut. My vision blurred. My heart was pounding in my chest. How long had this been going on? How many times had she looked me in the eye, pretending everything was fine while secretly carrying on an affair? She spoke so casually about it, so matter-of-factly, that it made me sick to my stomach. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't understand it. This wasn't the woman I thought I married. This wasn't the woman who promised me forever. This wasn't the woman who shared everything with me. The woman who built a life, a family, with me. No, this was a stranger. Her laughter felt like a slap in my face. I watched her, trying to keep my emotions in check, trying to hold onto the tiny shred of dignity I had left. I couldn't even look at her now. The hurt was too deep. I felt like everything I had known about us had been a lie. Every anniversary, every celebration, every intimate moment we shared. It was all a lie. The conversation continued, her voice dropping to a more intimate tone, and that's when I heard it. Her words about our marriage were like daggers. She spoke about me with disdain, dismissing the years we'd spent together. She made jokes about me, about how she had to play the role of the loving wife. But her heart had long been elsewhere. The realization hit me like a freight train. She didn't care. She hadn't cared for a long time. And then, I saw her reaction. The color drained from her face when she noticed the people at the table were staring at her. But I wasn't staring at her anymore. I was staring at the destruction she had caused, the hollow shell of a marriage I had been living in without even knowing it. This dinner, this night, was supposed to be about celebrating our love, our years together. Instead, it had become a twisted spectacle. It wasn't a celebration. It was a revelation. The truth, laid bare before me in the most cruel way imaginable. Lisa didn't know that everyone had been watching. Her parents were at the next table, observing the whole thing. Steve was there too, sitting across the room, looking uncomfortable, not knowing whether to intervene or not. But it didn't matter. Nothing mattered anymore. What was left of us was gone. And now, there was no going back. I sat there, frozen. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. I felt numb, like the world around me was spinning, but I was standing still, trapped in this moment. The truth had come crashing down on me, and there was no escaping it. My marriage, my life, everything I thought I knew. It was all a lie. I wanted to confront her, to demand answers, to yell at her. But I didn't. I couldn't. Instead, I just sat there, watching as she tried to salvage whatever was left of her facade. But there was no fixing it. She had broken something that couldn't be repaired, and I wasn't sure I wanted to even try. The video played in front of me, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I couldn't breathe. The laughter of the people at the table, her parents, Steve, everyone, was like a distant echo. I couldn't hear it. My mind was consumed by Lisa's words, her voice so calm, so detached, as she spoke to Mark. Her betrayal, so casually revealed, hit me like a ton of bricks. This wasn't a moment of shock. This was a moment of clarity. Everything I had been questioning, everything that had been nagging at me for months, suddenly clicked into place. I was watching the unraveling of my marriage in real time. The video played on, but I couldn't tear my eyes away from her. The woman I had built my life with, the woman I thought I knew so well, was sitting there, unashamed, admitting to something I could never have imagined. How could she do this to me? How could she do this to us? Her words pierced through me, each one like a sharp blade cutting deeper into my heart. "I'm not happy," she said, like it was some simple fact. No hesitation, no guilt, just a statement of the truth she had been hiding for so long. And then she went on. The more she spoke, the more I felt like I was disappearing, like I was no longer a part of her world. There was no room for me in her life anymore. I was a ghost. I had become the background noise to her own selfish desires. As the conversation unfolded, I sat there in a fog, unable to process it all. The pain was almost physical. I could feel my chest tightening, my stomach churning with every word that came from her lips. How could she have done this to me? To us? We had built something together. We had raised a child. We had shared dreams. We had endured hardships. And yet here she was, talking about it like it was nothing, like it meant nothing. It wasn't just the affair, though. It was the way she spoke about our marriage. It wasn't just that she had betrayed me. It was the way she had discarded me. The way she spoke of our life together as if it were something she had grown tired of, something she had outgrown. I couldn't fathom it. I couldn't understand how someone could love you so deeply, promise you a future, and then, without warning, toss it all away. Like nothing mattered. Her voice trembled slightly as she spoke about the affair, but it wasn't from guilt. It wasn't remorse. It was more like an excuse. It's a midlife crisis, she said, her voice hollow, as though she were trying to justify her actions. I just wanted to feel something different, something new. And there it was, the explanation that broke me. This was it, the great revelation. My entire life, my marriage, my years spent building a family, was nothing more than a phase for her. A phase she had grown tired of. I looked around the room at my family, watching them watch me. They all knew. They all saw the video. They all knew what I was going through. And yet, no one said anything. No one spoke up. I was alone. Completely and utterly alone. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the public shaming. Lisa had made a fool of me in front of everyone. In front of people who had known me my entire life. People who had shared our triumphs, our failures. They knew us. They knew what we had. And now they knew what Lisa had done. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to react. My mind was reeling, trying to make sense of everything. But it was impossible. There was no reasoning with this. There was no talking my way out of it. The damage had been done, and it was irreversible. How could I go back to the woman who had just told the world, and me, that she didn't care? That she had been pretending all this time? I could feel the weight of her lies pressing down on me. It was suffocating. It was too much. My chest felt tight, like the air itself was thicker, heavier with every passing second. I wanted to scream, to yell at her, to demand answers. But I didn't. I just sat there, frozen. A part of me knew that if I spoke, if I let myself feel anything, it would be the end of everything. This was it. This was the final straw. As the video ended, I felt like a different person. Who was I now? What was I supposed to do with all this anger? All this hurt? How was I supposed to pick up the pieces of my shattered life when I wasn't even sure where the pieces had fallen? It wasn't just the affair. It wasn't just the lies. It was the complete and utter disregard for everything I had given her. Everything I had sacrificed. I could hear Lisa's voice through the phone. She was calling, begging, pleading, but I couldn't answer. I couldn't bring myself to respond to her. There was nothing left to say. She had already said everything she needed to say. And it wasn't just the words she spoke. It was the way she had spoken them, with such casualness, as if our years together had been nothing more than a blip in her life. I couldn't ignore that. I couldn't pretend it didn't matter. I didn't answer her calls. I didn't want to hear her voice. I didn't want to hear her apologies, her excuses. There was no way back from this. She had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. And I was done. I was finished. I sit there in the silence of the living room, my phone buzzing relentlessly on the table, Lisa's name flashing across the screen. I don't answer it. I can't. The anger in my chest is like a fire, but it's not just anger. It's a mix of betrayal, sadness, frustration, and a sharp, aching emptiness that I can't seem to shake. I never imagined that I would find myself in this position, forced to face the harsh reality of everything that had been building up in the shadows of our life. She had always been so perfect at keeping up appearances, at maintaining the illusion of a happy marriage. But now, All the lies, all the secrets have been exposed. And I'm left here, trying to figure out what to do next. I can feel the weight of the situation pressing down on me, the coldness in the air almost suffocating. The house feels too big, too empty now. For so many years, it was a place of warmth, a sanctuary. Now, it feels like a prison. A place where I am trapped, haunted by the echoes of what Lisa has done. I can still hear her voice in my mind, casually speaking about her affair, about how she had fallen out of love, about how it was all my fault. Every word cuts deeper than I ever thought possible. I can't help but think back to the moment at the restaurant, when I first overheard her talking to Mark. It's all still so vivid in my mind, like a terrible dream that I can't escape from. I can still see her, sitting across from me, her eyes darting around the room, her fingers nervously tapping on the edge of her wine glass. I didn't know it then, but she was already planning her escape. She was already mentally checked out of our marriage, while I was still holding on, trying to salvage something that was already long gone. She hadn't even had the decency to tell me. She hadn't given me the opportunity to fight for us. Instead, she made a mockery of everything we built together. I hear the knock at the door, and my heart sinks. It's her parents. I don't want to face them, not now. Not after everything that's happened. But I know they're here for one reason, to try and fix things. To try and convince me that Lisa is still the woman I fell in love with. But I know better. I've seen the truth now, and there's no going back. Lisa may have tried to hide it, but her actions speak louder than any apology she could give. When I open the door, her mother is standing there, her face full of concern. "Where is she?" she demands, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "Lisa's been calling nonstop. She's upset. You need to talk to her. You can't just shut her out like this." I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear her defend her daughter, to try and justify the things Lisa has done. But I can't avoid it. Not now. "I don't think there's anything to talk about," I reply, my voice cold. "She's made her choice and I'm done." Her mother's face falters, but she doesn't back down. "She made a mistake. People make mistakes. You can work through this. You have to try, for the sake of your family." It feels like a slap in the face. She's asking me to forgive a betrayal so deep, so damaging, that it feels like I've been torn apart from the inside out. "For the sake of your family," she repeats, as if I need that reminder. I'm the one who's been left in the wreckage. I'm the one who has to pick up the pieces of our shattered life. "I've tried," I say, my voice breaking for the first time. "I've tried for years to make this work, but she never gave me a chance. She didn't even respect me enough to be honest with me." Her mother looks away, as if she's trying to find the right words, but there's nothing she can say that will fix this. No words, no explanations, no justifications will ever make it right. "I'm sorry," I say, finally feeling the weight of it all hit me. I can't do this anymore. I can't be with someone who doesn't respect me, who doesn't love me the way I deserve. I look her mother in the eyes, and I can see the hurt in her face, but it doesn't matter. Nothing matters anymore. I've reached the end. I'm not surprised when her mother doesn't argue. She knows it's over too. She's just trying to hold on to something that doesn't exist anymore. I don't know if she understands how deeply Lisa has hurt me. I don't know if she can. All I know is that I can't keep pretending. I can't keep pretending that everything is fine when my whole world is falling apart around me. I pack a bag. It's a small bag, just enough for a few days. I'm not sure where I'm going, but I can't stay here. I can't stay in this house, with all its memories, with all the lies that still hang in the air. I need space. I need time to think, to figure out how to move forward when everything I thought I knew has been turned upside down. The sound of the car door slamming behind me feels final, like a door closing on a chapter of my life I can never return to. I drive without a destination in mind, just needing to get away. The road stretches out in front of me, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can breathe. It's not peace, not yet, but it's a small relief from the suffocating weight of everything that has happened. I know this isn't over. Lisa's going to keep calling. Her parents are going to keep trying to fix things, but none of it matters. I've already made up my mind. I don't want to go back to that life. I don't want to go back to her. Not after everything she's done. The pain is too much. The lies are too much. And for the first time, I realized something. I'm not the one who needs fixing. She is. I don't know why I picked up the phone. Maybe it was out of habit, or maybe it was because I was still in a haze of shock. Whatever the reason, when I saw her name flash on the screen, my hand moved instinctively, almost as if my body hadn't caught up with the reality of the situation. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding in my chest as I stared at her name. Lisa, the woman who had just destroyed everything I thought we had. Her voice came through the receiver, shaky, desperate. Please, pick up, please. I need to talk to you. She sounded so different now, so small, so vulnerable, but I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear the excuses, the apologies. I had heard it all before. I had tried to be patient, tried to give her the benefit of the doubt, but now I knew the truth. The truth was that none of it mattered. None of her words could undo what she had done. I took a moment before answering, letting her words hang in the air like a sickening cloud. What do you want, Lisa? I finally said, my voice colder than I intended. The silence on the other end was deafening. I could almost hear her biting her lip, unsure of how to respond. I don't know where to start, she said quietly. I don't know how to fix this. I don't even know if I can fix this. But please, just hear me out. Please. I almost laughed, the bitterness bubbling up in my throat. Fix this? Fix it? How could she possibly think she could fix something so broken? There's nothing left to fix, Lisa. It's over, I said, my words sharp, final. You made your choice. You've shown me who you really are. But it was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. I swear to you, it was a moment of weakness. A moment of weakness? I cut her off, the words barely escaping my lips before I could stop myself. My heart was racing, my emotions raw. You don't cheat on someone because of a moment of weakness. You do it because you've already checked out. You've already given up, and you didn't care enough to be honest with me. You didn't care enough to respect me. There was a pause on the other end of the line. I could almost hear her trying to come up with something, anything, to make this right, but I knew there was nothing she could say. There was no excuse, no justification that would make this pain go away. I had given her everything. I had given her my heart, my trust, my loyalty, and she had thrown it all away. I never wanted to hurt you, she whispered, her voice breaking. I never wanted this to happen. You have to believe me. I just didn't know how to tell you. I could feel the anger building inside me, the sharp sting of betrayal clouding my judgment. She didn't know how to tell me? She didn't know how to tell me that she had been seeing someone else behind my back? That she had been lying to my face for months, if not longer? No, I wasn't going to fall for it. I wasn't going to let her manipulate me again. No, Lisa, I said, my voice steady but laced with hurt. You didn't want to tell me because you knew it would destroy everything. You knew it would destroy me, but you didn't care. You didn't care about me, about our family, about anything but yourself. There was another long pause, and I could hear her sniffling, trying to hold back tears. I wasn't moved. I couldn't be. My heart had already been shattered, and no amount of tears or apologies would put the pieces back together. Please, she said softly, her voice almost pleading now. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But I need you to understand. I was lost. I didn't know what I wanted anymore. I didn't know who I was. But I love you. I really do. The words hung in the air, but they felt empty. Love? Was that really what this was? If she loved me, how could she do this to me? How could she betray me so completely, so utterly, and then expect me to just forgive her with a few words? No, this wasn't love. This was selfishness. This was cowardice. And I was done. I don't think you know what love is, I said quietly, my voice firm. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. If you loved me, you wouldn't have lied to me. You wouldn't have sneaked around behind my back. I'm not some fool, Lisa. I won't sit here and let you try to make me feel sorry for you. There was silence again, and this time, it felt heavier. I didn't want to hear any more of her explanations. I didn't want to hear her plead for forgiveness, for another chance. Because the truth was, I didn't want to give her another chance. I had given her enough. I had trusted her with everything, and she had thrown it all away. I'm not coming back, Lisa, I said, the words tasting bitter as I forced them out. It's over, and I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I heard her gasp on the other end, but I didn't care. I had made my decision. I had made up my mind. This was the end of the road for us. And no matter how much she tried to convince me otherwise, nothing was going to change that. I don't know what to say, she stammered, the tears clear in her voice now. I never meant for it to end like this. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The truth had been laid bare. The damage was done. She had made her bed, and now she had to lie in it. I ended the call, my hand shaking as I placed the phone down on the table. I sat there for a long time, staring at the screen, trying to process everything that had just happened. But I knew one thing for sure. I had made the right choice. It was over. There was no going back. The lake house was supposed to be a place of peace, a sanctuary away from the noise, away from the demands of life. But now, as I stand on the back deck, looking out over the water, all I can feel is the weight of everything crashing down on me. The cool breeze on my face does little to calm the storm inside my chest. The phone call with Lisa keeps replaying in my head, every word she said echoing through my thoughts. I can't stop thinking about it. I want to, but I can't. The pain is too raw, too fresh. And yet, I can't help but wonder if I made the right decision. The stillness of the water mirrors my state of mind. There's no movement, no sound, just a calm that feels like a lie. How can everything be so still when my world has been turned upside down? My heart is in pieces, but I know there's no going back. Lisa has made her choice, and so have I. There's no fixing this. There's no going back to what we were. The damage is done. I walk back inside, pacing the wooden floors, the silence of the house pressing down on me. It's too quiet. Everything feels too quiet now. I think about what Lisa said during our conversation, her voice trembling as she tried to explain herself. She said it was a midlife crisis, that she was lost, that she didn't know who she was anymore. I can hear the desperation in her voice as she tried to convince me that this wasn't who she really was. But I know the truth. This was her. She had been hiding it for so long, burying it beneath the surface, and now it was all out in the open. She had made a choice. She had chosen him, and I wasn't part of the picture anymore. I grab a glass of whiskey from the counter, the burn of the alcohol a welcome distraction from the flood of emotions threatening to drown me. I've spent too many nights drowning in my own thoughts, trying to make sense of everything. But there's no sense to be made. Lisa had always been good at pretending, good at wearing that perfect mask. But it was just that, a mask. Beneath it all, there was someone I didn't recognize. Someone who didn't care enough to tell me the truth. Someone who didn't respect me. The realization hits harder than I ever imagined. She didn't just cheat on me. She had been emotionally checked out long before she ever stepped into that affair. The anger comes and goes, like waves crashing against the shore. It's overwhelming at times, but then it subsides, replaced by something else. A deep, aching sadness that I can't escape. I've spent so many years loving her, trusting her, giving her everything I had. And now, all I feel is emptiness. A hollow, aching void where our love used to be. I try to remind myself that I'm not the one who broke this. She did. But it doesn't change the fact that it hurts. It hurts more than anything I've ever felt. I take another sip of whiskey, trying to numb the pain, trying to find some way to make it stop. But the truth is, I don't know how to move on. I don't know how to pick up the pieces of my life when I can't even remember what it felt like to feel whole. I've spent so much time being a husband, a father, that I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know who I am without her. And that's the part that's the hardest to face. My phone buzzes on the counter, and I know it's her. I don't have to look to know. Lisa. She's been calling me nonstop since I left. At first, I let it ring. I thought maybe I needed some space, some time to think. But now, I feel the pull. The temptation to pick up. To hear her voice again. To hear her beg for forgiveness. To hear her promise that things will be different. But I know it's a lie. I know that nothing will ever be the same again. She can't fix this. She can't fix what she's broken. And I'm not sure I even want her to try. I look at the phone, hesitating. For a moment, I wonder what would happen if I answered. Would she say something that would change everything? Would she apologize in a way that would make me reconsider? Would she tell me that she made a mistake? But deep down, I know it's too late. It's too late for apologies. It's too late for second chances. I've already made my decision. I can't keep going back and forth, caught in the cycle of hope and disappointment. It's time to move on. I turn the phone over, silencing the ringer, and set it back on the counter. I've made my choice. This marriage is over. I can't keep living in a lie, pretending that everything is okay when it's not. I deserve better than this. I deserve someone who will love me without secrets, without lies. I deserve someone who will fight for me, who will fight for us. But that person isn't Lisa. Not anymore. I don't know what comes next. I don't know what my future holds. But I do know that I can't stay here, stuck in the past, trapped by the weight of what's been lost. I need to move forward. I need to find my own way. And maybe, just maybe, I'll find a way to heal. But it won't be with her. It won't be with the woman who decided to throw everything away. It's time to let go. I walk out of the house, into the cool night air, feeling a sense of clarity that I haven't felt in a long time. I don't know what's next, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm finally free. The chains that have held me in this toxic relationship are broken. And now, it's time to start over. The drive back to the lake house is a blur. My mind is clouded, but my thoughts keep circling around the same thing. Her. Lisa. The one person I thought I could trust more than anyone. The one person I had shared everything with, from the mundane details of daily life to the dreams we built together for the future. And now, she was the one person I couldn't bear to face. But I had no choice. When I reached the lake house, the place where I thought I could find some peace, I see her car parked outside. Lisa. She's already here. I didn't expect this, didn't expect her to show up so quickly. Part of me wonders if she knew, deep down, that I was done. Maybe that's why she came. To try and fix it. To try and pull me back from the brink. But it's too late for that. I'm already gone. I park the car, and my heart skips a beat when I see her standing on the porch. She's holding a cup of coffee, her posture rigid, like she's trying to convince herself that everything is fine. But the way she's holding that cup tells me otherwise. Her hands are trembling, her fingers gripping it so tightly that I can see her knuckles turning white. She's scared. I can feel it in the air. And maybe, just maybe, she knows it's over. I step out of the car, my legs heavy with the weight of everything that's happened. I take a deep breath, steadying myself, and walk up to the porch. As soon as I reach her, she looks up. Her eyes are red, her face pale. She's been crying. She tries to force a smile, but it doesn't reach her eyes. There's nothing left to hide now. Everything is out in the open. I didn't know if you were going to come back, she says, her voice trembling, her gaze never leaving mine. I wasn't sure if you were just going to leave me here. Her words feel like a slap, but I don't react. I've already heard everything I need to hear. The truth doesn't need any more words. I came back because I knew we needed to talk. I say, my voice low but firm. I didn't want to drag this out any longer. It's over, Lisa. Her expression falters, and I can see the panic in her eyes. She takes a step forward, as if she's trying to close the distance between us. Please. I know I made a mistake. I know I hurt you, but I swear I didn't mean for it to happen. I never wanted to lose you. Her words are like poison, sweet and deceptive. I don't know what part of me is angrier, the fact that she's trying to manipulate me with her words, or the fact that I'm even listening to them. She's crying now, the tears falling freely down her face, but they don't move me. They don't change anything. You think this is just a mistake? I ask, my voice rising without me even realizing it. You think this is something I can just forgive? A mistake? I shake my head, feeling the anger bubble up inside me. This wasn't a mistake, Lisa. This wasn't some accidental slip-up. This was a choice. You chose him. You chose to lie to me. You chose to betray me. Don't you dare try to make it seem like it was some kind of accident. She takes another step toward me, reaching out as if she wants to touch me, to comfort me. But I pull back, the space between us growing wider with every passing second. I can't let her touch me. Not now. Not after everything she's done. Please, I know I've hurt you, she says, her voice breaking. I've been selfish, and I've been stupid. But I'm not that person. I'm not that woman anymore. I want to fix this. I want to go back to how things were before all of this. The words hang in the air like a sick joke. She wants to go back. She wants to pretend like nothing ever happened. Like I can just forget the way she made me feel. Like I can forget the way she threw our marriage away. But I can't. I can't forget that she was never honest with me. I can't forget that she deceived me, that she betrayed the love I gave her. Don't, I say, my voice steady but cold. Don't try to fix this. You don't get to fix this. What you've broken is beyond repair. She looks at me with wide eyes, as if she's waiting for me to say something else, as if she expects me to say that I've changed my mind, that I've forgiven her. But I don't. I can't. There's nothing left to forgive. She had her chance, and she threw it away. I'm sorry, I really am, she whispers, her voice barely audible. I just didn't know what to do. I was lost, and I didn't know how to tell you. Her words are soft, fragile, but they don't make me feel anything. They don't change what I know to be true. Maybe you didn't know what to do, Lisa, I say, taking a step back. But I know exactly what I need to do now. I need to let go. I need to walk away. This isn't just about what you've done. It's about everything I've been blind to. I've been blind to the fact that you were never fully here with me. You've been emotionally gone for so long, and I was too caught up in my own feelings to see it. She falls silent, her shoulders slumping as if the weight of my words has crushed her. She doesn't know what to say now, and for once, I don't think she has anything left to say. All the excuses, all the explanations, all the apologies in the world won't change anything. I'm done. I turn to leave, my steps slow but certain. Lisa doesn't say anything. She doesn't try to stop me. I can feel her eyes on me as I walk away, but I don't look back. I can't. This is it. There's no going back. I get in the car, and as I pull away from the lake house, I can feel the weight lifting off my chest. It's not gone. Not yet. But I know I've taken the first step. I've made the choice. I've chosen myself. And no matter how much it hurts, no matter how much I still love her, I know it's the right choice. The road ahead is long, both literally and metaphorically. My hands grip the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles feel like they might crack. The weight of the decision lingers in the pit of my stomach. I'm not sure I'm ready for what's coming next. My heart aches in ways I never thought possible, and yet, there's a strange sense of calm settling in. I've made my choice. I've walked away from the only life I've known for the past 2 decades, and now I have to learn how to live without her. But as the miles pass by, I find myself reflecting on everything that's happened, on everything that's been said. The words Lisa spoke keep replaying in my mind. Her apology, her explanations, her tearful attempts to make me see that she was sorry. She said she had been lost. She said it was a mistake. And part of me wants to believe her. Part of me wants to hold on to the hope that things could go back to how they were, that we could rebuild what we had. But I know better now. I know that this isn't about mistakes or miscommunication. This is about choices. And she chose him. I don't know how much time passes before I pull into a small diner, the kind of place I used to go with Lisa on lazy Sunday afternoons. I never thought I'd come back here alone. I can still remember the last time we were here, sitting across from each other, laughing about some silly thing our daughter had done, making plans for the future. But now, it feels like a different lifetime. The place doesn't look the same anymore. The walls feel smaller, the air heavier. It's funny how something so familiar can suddenly seem so foreign. I sit down at a booth in the corner, trying to gather my thoughts. I can hear the chatter around me, the clinking of silverware, the hum of conversation, but none of it reaches me. I'm trapped in my own thoughts, lost in the whirlwind of emotions that have been consuming me since I left. I thought leaving Lisa would bring me clarity. I thought it would bring me peace. But all I feel right now is confusion. The waitress brings me a coffee, and I take it without a word, my fingers curling around the warm mug. I stare at the steam rising from the cup, feeling the heat against my skin. It's a small comfort, a reminder that, despite everything, life goes on. But my thoughts keep drifting back to her. Lisa, I'm angry. I'm hurt. But above all, I'm heartbroken. The phone rings again, and this time, I don't even look at the caller ID. I know it's her. I know it's Lisa. She's been calling me nonstop, sending me messages, begging for another chance. Part of me wants to pick up, to hear her voice again. But I know that would only drag me back into the cycle. I can't let her pull me back in. I've already made my decision. I need to stay strong. But it's hard. I pick up the phone anyway, ignoring the advice in my head. The screen lights up, and her name flashes once again. My finger hovers over the screen for a moment before I swipe it open. Hello? I say, my voice quieter than I expect. Her voice comes through, shaky and hesitant. Please, can we talk? She says, her words heavy with emotion. I need to explain. I need to tell you everything. I close my eyes for a moment, taking a deep breath. I feel a lump form in my throat. I'm tired of hearing her apologies, tired of hearing her try to explain something that can't be explained away. But I also know that if I don't listen, if I don't hear her out one last time, I'll never get closure. Lisa, I say, my voice soft but firm, I'm not doing this anymore. There's nothing you can say that will change anything. I can't keep listening to your apologies. I can't keep pretending that this is something we can fix. I've heard it all. The excuses, the explanations, the promises. I can't do it. I hear her take a shaky breath. Please, she says again, her voice barely above a whisper. I never meant for any of this to happen. I don't know why I did it. I can't explain it, but I need you to understand that it wasn't about you. It was about me. I've been lost for so long, and I thought that being with someone else would make me feel better. But it didn't. It was never about you. It was about me trying to find something that I didn't even know I was missing. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I was wrong. I was so wrong. Her words hit me harder than I expect. They're not the same tired excuses I've heard before. There's something raw, something real in her voice. She's not asking for forgiveness, but I can hear the remorse, the regret. She's not just telling me what she thinks I want to hear. She's telling me the truth. At least, I think she is. And that truth stings. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, she continues, her voice breaking, but I want you to know that I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything. I'm sorry for the pain I've caused. I'm sorry for the lies, for the secrets. I'm sorry for betraying your trust. I'm sorry for breaking your heart. I can't speak. My throat feels tight, like the words are stuck somewhere deep inside. I want to scream at her, to tell her how much she's hurt me, but I can't. I can't because, despite everything, part of me still loves her. Part of me still wants to believe in her, to believe that she's sorry, to believe that we could fix this. But I know better. I know that no amount of apologies will change what's been broken. I can't do this anymore, Lisa. I finally say, my voice quieter now, more resigned. I'm done. I can't keep living in this lie. I can't keep holding on to something that's already gone. There's silence on the other end of the line, and for a moment, I think she's hung up. But then I hear her sobbing, her cries so raw and painful that they tear at something inside me. I want to reach through the phone to comfort her, but I know I can't. I know this is something she has to do on her own. This is her mess to fix, and I can't be a part of it anymore. I'm sorry, she whispers again, her voice barely audible. I'm so sorry. I close my eyes, wiping away a tear that I didn't even realize had fallen. Goodbye, Lisa, I say softly, ending the call before I can change my mind. I sit there for a long time, staring at the phone in my hand. The silence in the diner is deafening, the weight of the decision I've made pressing down on me. But for the first time, I feel like a burden has been lifted. The choice has been made, and no matter how much it hurts, I know it's the right one. The world outside is different now, and so am I. I've always prided myself on being a man who kept his composure, who thought things through before acting. I always thought I had control over my life, over my decisions. But this is something I can't control. It's like I've been caught in a storm, tossed around and battered, with no clear way out. But now, as I sit here in the quiet aftermath of everything, I know that the storm is over. The choice has been made. There's no turning back now. I'm standing at the edge of the lake, the cool breeze against my skin, the ripples in the water reflecting the fading light of the evening sky. It's beautiful here, serene, peaceful, but it feels foreign to me now. This was supposed to be my refuge, a place where I could find clarity, but it's a reminder of everything I've lost. The silence around me is broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves, the distant cry of a bird. The air is thick with the weight of my thoughts, but I can't bring myself to voice them. It's as though speaking them out loud would somehow make them more real, more permanent. And yet, here I am, trying to come to terms with a reality I never thought I'd have to face. I never imagined I'd be standing here alone, without her. I've spent so many years of my life wrapped up in the comfort of our routine, our shared goals, our shared future. And now, I'm standing here with nothing but the echoes of what used to be. I thought I knew who I was. I thought I understood my place in the world. But now, everything is different. Who am I without her? Who am I when the one thing I thought I could count on is no longer there? I take a deep breath, trying to steady myself. This is what I wanted, isn't it? The freedom, the release from the constant ache of betrayal. I've been waiting for this moment, for the clarity that comes after the storm. But all I feel is emptiness. It's not the relief I imagined. It's not the sense of peace I thought would come after making the hard choice. Instead, it's a hole, a void, where everything I once knew has been stripped away. But even in the emptiness, I know I've made the right choice. There's no going back from this. I've told myself that. I've told myself that it was time for me to take control of my life again, to stop being a spectator in my own marriage, to stop pretending that things could go back to what they were. They can't. They never will. And yet, as I stand here, I can't help but feel a sense of loss. I've lost more than just a partner. I've lost the dream of the future we once had. The life we built together, our home, our family, our plans, is gone. And though I tell myself it's for the best, there's a part of me that mourns it. I think about the phone call, about the way her voice cracked when she told me she was sorry. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to think that maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for us to rebuild. But deep down, I know that her words were hollow. She had already checked out of this marriage long before the affair even started. She had already decided that I wasn't enough for her. And as painful as it is to admit, I can't live with that. The betrayal runs deeper than I thought. It's not just the affair. It's the way she made me feel invisible, the way she took me for granted. She never respected me enough to be honest, to tell me that things weren't working, to let me in when she was struggling. Instead, she hid behind lies, behind the facade of a happy marriage, while her heart was elsewhere. And now, it's all out in the open. There's no more pretending, no more lies. It's just me, standing here alone, trying to figure out what comes next. I let out a long sigh, feeling the weight of the past few days settle over me like a blanket. I thought I was ready for this, but I wasn't. I wasn't ready for the pain, for the loneliness that comes with realizing that the person you thought you knew better than anyone has become a stranger. I wasn't ready for the deep ache that comes from losing everything you once held dear. But this is the reality now. This is where I am, and there's no escaping it. I've made my choice. I've walked away from a life I once thought was my own. And even though it hurts, even though it feels like I'm leaving a piece of myself behind, I know it's for the best. I take another deep breath, trying to ground myself. The sun is dipping below the horizon now, casting a soft golden glow over the water. The stillness is almost calming, but the calmness feels temporary, a brief respite before the next wave of emotions hits. I know I'm not done with this yet. There's still more to come. More pain, more heartbreak, more healing. But for now, I have to let go. I have to move on. I turn and walk back toward the house, my footsteps heavy, but determined. I know that this journey isn't over. It's just beginning. But I also know that I can't let the past define me. I can't let the mistakes of the past dictate my future. I have to move forward, no matter how difficult it is. As I walk through the door, I feel the weight of the decision settle into place. This is it. I'm moving on. It won't be easy. It won't be fast. But I will heal. I will find my way again. And maybe, just maybe, I'll be stronger for it. The days have blurred together since I made the decision to walk away. The weeks ahead of me stretch out like a vast, uncharted sea, each wave carrying me further from the shore of everything I once knew. At first, It was overwhelming. The weight of the silence, the emptiness that filled the spaces where her voice used to be. Lisa's absence is louder than her presence ever was. But slowly, something began to change. It wasn't immediate. It wasn't a grand revelation. But as the days passed, I found myself standing a little taller. The ache in my chest wasn't as sharp, and I began to see the path ahead of me. For the first time in a long time, I started to feel like I could breathe again. I took the time I needed. I had to. The house felt foreign, like it belonged to someone else, a place where memories lingered like ghosts. The first few nights were the hardest, as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the weight of everything still pressing down on me. The memories of Lisa and I, our shared laughs, our whispered promises, the quiet moments that once felt like home, felt distant, as if they belonged to another lifetime. I couldn't erase those memories, no matter how much I wanted to, but I knew now that I had to start anew, even if it meant letting go of the past. The mornings were the worst. The quiet of the house, the absence of her presence at the breakfast table, the way the silence stretched between me and the world outside. But little by little, I found new routines. Simple things. I started cooking again, something I hadn't done much of in years. There was something oddly comforting about preparing a meal, the rhythm of chopping vegetables, the sizzle of food in the pan. It gave me a sense of control, of normalcy. For the first time in a long time, I was doing something for myself. The first few days I spent in the house alone felt like walking through thick fog, each step uncertain. But then I began to find solace in the small victories. I forced myself to go for walks, something to break the monotony, something to get out of my own head. At first, I would walk around the lake near the house, lost in thought, replaying every word Lisa had said, every mistake I had made. But soon, those walks turned into moments of quiet reflection, where I could just be. And with each step, I began to feel a little lighter, as if I was leaving the weight of the past behind me, one step at a time. There's a part of me that still aches, a part that still wonders what went wrong, what I could have done differently. But those thoughts are becoming less frequent. They're becoming more manageable. I'm learning to accept that not everything is within my control. I can't fix the past. I can't change what happened, but I can control what happens next. And that realization, that small glimmer of power, has made all the difference. I've also started to reconnect with old friends. It feels strange at first, reaching out to people I haven't spoken to in years. But it feels good too. There's something refreshing about being around people who don't know the history, who don't carry the baggage of my past with them. It's like a fresh start. I went out for drinks with Steve the other night. Nothing fancy, just a quiet pub where we could talk about life. He didn't ask many questions about what happened between Lisa and me. He didn't need to. He could see the change in me. He could see the shift, even though I wasn't saying much. I've also been spending more time with Casey, our daughter. It hasn't been easy. She's caught in the middle of everything, and I can see the confusion in her eyes when she looks at me. But she's strong, just like her mother. She's been through a lot, and I'm trying my best to be there for her, to be the father she needs. It's hard. Some days are better than others. But we're figuring it out together, one day at a time. And then there's Patricia. She's been a constant presence, quietly supportive without pushing. It's strange, the way she's become a source of comfort. I didn't expect it. At first, I thought maybe I was just looking for someone, to fill the void left by Lisa. But it's not like that. Patricia is different. She listens when I need to talk, but she doesn't pressure me. She gives me space, but she's also there when I need her. There's something healing about her presence, something that makes me feel like I'm not completely alone in this. We've been taking things slow, but there's a calmness between us, an understanding that doesn't feel rushed. I'm not ready to dive into anything serious, but there's something comforting about having someone who cares. Someone who isn't asking for anything but my time, my attention. The thing is, as I'm starting to find myself again, I realize I don't need to rush into anything. I don't need to fill the emptiness with distractions or false promises. I don't need to find someone to replace what I lost. I just need to be present. I need to figure out who I am without Lisa. It's not easy, but I'm starting to understand that the process of healing takes time. There's no deadline. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just life. And I'm learning how to live it again. I'm not there yet. I'm not fully healed. There are still moments when I catch myself reaching for the phone, wanting to call Lisa, wanting to hear her voice, wanting to make everything okay again. But those moments are becoming fewer. And with each passing day, I'm realizing that I'm stronger than I thought. I'm learning to stand on my own 2 feet, to walk forward without looking back. And that, in itself, feels like the biggest victory of all. The days are quieter now, the edges of the storm that once raged within me slowly fading into something more manageable, something less overwhelming. But the quiet isn't peace. Not yet. I thought it would be. I thought once I made the decision, once I walked away from the wreckage of my past, I'd find clarity, find calm. But it's a different kind of silence now, one that sits heavy in the air. A silence that feels like the last chapter of a story you never wanted to finish. The house feels like it belongs to a stranger now. Every piece of furniture, every wall, every room. It all feels distant, as if it's holding the memory of something that isn't there anymore. I've tried to make this place my own again. I've tried to breathe life back into these walls. But how do you make a home when everything that once made it a home is gone? The knock on the door pulls me out of my thoughts, and I know exactly who it is before I even get up. I've been expecting this moment for weeks, and now, here it is. Lisa. She's come to say goodbye. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe I thought I'd be angry. Maybe I thought I'd feel bitter or vengeful. But when I open the door, it's different. She looks like she's seen a ghost. Her eyes are red, her face drawn, like she's been carrying a weight around for too long. There's no apology on her lips, no begging for forgiveness. She's not here to try and convince me to take her back. She's here to finally let go. And so am I. We stand there in the doorway for a long time, neither of us saying anything. The words feel like they're caught in our throats, like neither of us knows how to start this conversation. We're not strangers, but it feels that way. There's so much unsaid between us now, so much that has been broken beyond repair. Can we talk? She says finally, her voice small, tentative. I nod, stepping aside to let her in. She hesitates before crossing the threshold, like she's afraid of what she might find on the other side. I feel the same way. The house feels like a ghost of what it once was, empty, devoid of life, haunted by the past. We sit in the living room, the silence stretching out between us like an endless road. She doesn't look at me right away. She looks down at her hands, fidgeting with the sleeves of her sweater, like she's unsure of what to say, unsure of what to do next. I never wanted to hurt you, she starts, her voice shaky. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I know I've destroyed everything, and I don't know how to fix it. But I need you to know that I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything. I've been sorry for a long time. The words sound hollow, not because I don't believe her, but because they're just words. The truth is, we've both been living in this space of regret for too long. Each of us waiting for the other to make the first move, to fix what was broken. But it's too late now. The damage has already been done. There's nothing left to fix. I don't need you to apologize, I say, my voice quieter than I expect. I don't need you to make this better, because I've already let go. I've already made my peace with it. I don't say the rest, that I've had to learn how to let go of her, of the life we had. It's not easy. It's not something you can do overnight. But I've learned that peace doesn't come from someone else's apology. It comes from within. It comes from knowing that you've done everything you can, and when it's not enough, you walk away. She nods, tears gathering in her eyes as she looks up at me. For a moment, I think she's going to say something more, something to change my mind, something to pull me back into the past. But she doesn't. She just sits there, quiet, letting the silence settle between us. I don't want to make this harder than it already is, she says finally, her voice barely above a whisper. I know it's over. I know we can't go back. But I just needed to say goodbye. I needed to let you go. Her words hang in the air, heavy and final. There's no bitterness in them, no anger, just resignation. And in a way, that makes it even harder. There's nothing left to fight for, nothing left to hold on to. It's over, and we both know it. I sit there, looking at her, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm seeing her for who she really is. Not the woman I thought I knew, Not the woman I married, but the woman who made mistakes, who let me down, who broke my heart. And yet, I still feel something for her. Not love, not anymore, but something close, something like sorrow. I mourn what we had. I mourn the version of her I thought I knew. I'll always care about you, I say, my voice barely audible, but I can't be with you anymore. I can't keep living in this lie. She nods, wiping her eyes. I know. There's nothing left to say after that. There's nothing left to fix. We're both moving on. We both have to. She stands up slowly, as if she's not sure whether she should leave or stay. But we both know it's time for her to go. She doesn't turn back as she walks toward the door. She doesn't need to. There's nothing left to say. When she steps out of the house, I feel the finality of it. This is it. This is the end of our story. We've both said our goodbyes. And now, we have to start living our separate lives. The silence in the house is deafening, but it's not the same silence as before. It's not the silence of loss, of regret. It's the silence of closure, of a chapter finally finished. I stand there for a moment, looking out the window, watching her walk away. She's gone. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can finally breathe again.